like to start off just by asking, District Attorney asked you about resources that were provided to her. What were the resources?
We had discussed going on Psychology Today, where
I'm sorry?
she was aware of the website Psychology Today.
Website?
Yes, she was given the name of a case manager through her insurance who she could contact for assistance in finding new providers.
So other than telling her about the website for Psychology Today and talking about her insurance company and what they would allow for her to reach out for what, other providers? Is that what it was?
Can you restate that?
Sure, of course. You referenced her insurance company.
Yes.
I mean, that's a major consideration in medical treatment, is it not? What a person has for insurance?
No.
No?
I don't understand what you mean by that.
You know what insurance is? I mean, as far as like a person paying their bills for medical treatment or psychiatric treatment.
The insurance is important because who you can see is limited by what insurance you have.
So that's what I was asking as far as the insurance. You referenced that on the resources, when the DA asked you about resources, and I asked you what were the resources, and you said going on the website for Psychology Today, right?
Yes.
And that you spoke to her about her insurance, right?
We gave her the name of a case manager who she could contact and her telephone number in case she wanted to find other providers. They would be able to look at their database and figure out what providers would be within the distance she was comfortable with, whether they were male or female, if she had a preference, and if she had any preference about any specialization. Okay.
And in reference to the insurance, what is the insurance? You answered the question about insurance. I'm just asking, what is the involvement of insurance in that offer of resources?
I don't understand your question.
All right, maybe I didn't understand your answer. That's why I apologize. You had indicated that in addition to telling her to go on the website for Psychology Today, that you spoke about her insurance and other providers that would be permitted, I guess, under her insurance.
Not every patient, the fact that she had a case manager at Blue Cross Blue Shield was an added benefit because they could assist her in finding providers. Okay. That's what I meant.
All right. Other than the case manager from Blue Cross Blue Shield and to do research off of the website for Psychology Today, what resources were provided to this woman?
There are numerous resources that are printed on the after visit summary. I don't know each and every one of them, but I think they would be in the medical record. Okay.
And that's something that is provided to a patient when they leave?
Yes.
She came in on a voluntary, is that correct? In other words, I know she was transported by an ambulance, but nevertheless it was that she and her husband, Patrick, wanted her to be treated at McLean, correct?
She came in and signed in on a voluntary.
In other words, there were no orders of a court, no judge ordering that she be committed or anything like that. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. And she came in on, was it New Year's Eve? January 1st?
Yes.
And do you remember what time she came in?
I think she arrived at the CEC around 4.
Now, would you agree that on New Year's Eve in McLean Hospital that that ward is pretty much running on a skeleton crew?
I can't speak to something I'm not there.
Well, obviously you're not there, but what about other people? Was skeleton crew New Year's Eve?
You would have to ask somebody who was there.
Well, you've worked there for what, 7 years?
5.
5 years. And what is the ward that she was on?
AB1 South.
81 South?
A as in apple, B as in boy, 1 South.
South. And how many doctors work at AB South, on whatever shifts that you may have?
There are 4 psychiatrists assigned who work on AB1 South.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
Yes, that's it.
And does that include you?
Yes.
And approximately how many nurses work on AB South?
I wouldn't know, but I know that there is a nurse assigned to each team and that there are 4 teams. Sometimes, yeah, in general.
4 teams on AB South, right?
Yes.
Okay. And when you say a team, that consists of what? A psychiatrist, a nurse perhaps, or what?
A psychiatrist, a nurse, a social worker, and an assigned mental health worker.
And what are the shifts that this team would work?
There are 3 shifts.
Okay. And would that be like, 7 to 11, or 11 to 4, that type of thing?
I think there's 7-hour shifts or 8-hour shifts. I don't know the exact times.
All right. And are you assigned a shift, or do you just go whenever you want?
We are not assigned shifts.
And when she was presented to the hospital, she went through that initial evaluation that you told us about, the CEC. Is that correct?
I'm sorry. Can you repeat
CEC, maybe you were talking about the CEC?
Yeah, can you repeat the question?
Sure. When she admitted herself and was escorted onto AB South, that's where she was evaluated?
She was evaluated in the CEC by the psychiatrist. Then she came to the unit and was seen by Dr. Madhwa later the same day. So she met 2 psychiatrists on January 1st.
Okay. So you have a woman that has admitted herself to McLean on New Year's for help, right?
Yes.
And she was evaluated at the CEC. Is that on that ward, or is that a different part of the hospital?
It's a different part.
Okay. And how long does that evaluation typically take?
I can't speak to that. I don't work in the CEC.
What do you do in the CEC? What happens in the CEC? Does this person sit down and they get interviewed, or what do they do?
There's a full psychiatric evaluation.
Uh-huh. And a full psychiatric evaluation consists of what?
A chief complaint, a history of, so basically a history of present illness, which would be what brings the person into the hospital.
Okay.
They review past psychiatric history, substance use history, social history, family history. They do a mental status exam, and then they make an assessment.
And they would be the CEC?
Psychiatrist.
And that would be the psychiatrist that you were referring to?
Dr. Outlaw.
Dr. Outlaw. Now, how long does the CEC typically take?
I do not know. It depends on the speed of the person seeing the patient.
I imagine that at some point, a psychiatrist or a social worker or somebody must get into the prior history that the patient had prior to coming to your doorstep, right?
That is a part of the evaluation, yes.
Okay. And you had a chance, as the district attorney asked you, as to whether or not you were able to review the medical records that involved Lindsay Clancy's treatment at McLean Hospital for the 4.5 days, right?
I was able to review the CEC note, which had an excerpt of the MGH evaluation and the notes that were available to me since January 1st at McLean.
Now, as a psychiatrist, I mean, when she goes to the hospital, she's your patient, right?
She's got
She's your patient.
Yes.
Yes, and as a doctor, what you want to do is get all the information that's available on why this person is in your locked ward, right?
Yes.
So did you do inquiry into her prior history, or was that left to the CEC person or the social worker?
That is part of the evaluation.
And the evaluation is CEC.
And when I see her as well.
All right. So do you sometimes, when I say you, I mean you or the social worker or the CEC person, do you talk to people like third party, I think you said third party contacts?
Yes.
All right.
The social worker does.
Okay, so, and you reviewed the records. So when did the social worker talk to the first psychiatrist that she went to see?
The social worker contacted Patrick.
Well, I know you told us that he contacted Patrick and that Patrick gave some history about the benzodiazepines that he was concerned about and he thought she wasn't getting good medical care. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. You know that she had medical treatment before she came to McLean?
Yes.
Okay. Who was her psychiatrist?
The nurse practitioner she was seeing prior to coming to McLean, I was aware of that person.
Would that be nurse practitioner Gelada?
Yes.
Did you speak to her?
No.
Did you look at her records?
I did not have access to them.
Why not?
They aren't in the same medical record system.
Well, the same medical record system is just so that you have access to MGH, you have access to Brigham and Women's Hospital, because it's all part of some big computer information access you have. What about other healthcare providers? Can you get access to their records?
Not immediately.
Well, how about if you have a release signed by a patient under the HIPAA law? You know what the HIPAA law is, obviously, right?
Yes.
And just tell me, what does that actually mean, that a patient allows someone to look at their medical records?
Yes.
And Lindsay was very, very cooperative with you guys, wasn't she?
Yes.
Did anyone ever ask her to sign a HIPAA release for anyone to get access to nurse practitioner Gelada's records?
No.
How about psychiatrist Tufts' records?
No.
How about nurse practitioner Paul's records?
No.
Who's Letitia Dukes?
She was a social worker, I think, that Lindsay saw at South Shore at the perinatal program.
Okay. And do you know when she went to the South Shore, Rhode Island perinatal program?
I know it was prior to admission. I don't remember the exact dates.
Do you know what recommendations that she had received at that point?
No, other than the medication.
Do you know what medication she was actually on when she presented to McLean Hospital?
Seroquel and Valium.
What is it?
Seroquel and Valium.
You knew that Dr. Tufts was the first psychiatrist that she actually consulted, correct?
I believe so.
And when again, if you don't know, just say you don't know.
Yes.
Okay. And I think you made reference to the fact, or maybe the DA made reference in questioning you, about the fact that she was looking for doctors for some type of medication or something. Is that fair?
That's a very vague statement. I don't know what you mean.
Okay. Well, actually, she saw Dr. Tufts because Dr. Tufts advertised that she was an expert in perinatal care, right?
Correction.
Overruled.
Oh, sorry. I wouldn't know why she saw Dr. Tufts.
Do you know what medication Dr. Tufts prescribed to her?
From what Lindsay told me, yes.
What?
Zoloft was the first.
All right. So Dr. Tufts, according to Lindsay, provided her, Lindsay, with Zoloft, which is an SSRI, correct?
It's an antidepressant in that class, yes.
Okay, so when you say an antidepressant in that class, the class would be selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, right?
Yes.
And that's pretty powerful stuff, isn't it?
I don't know what you mean by powerful.
No? Well, are you supposed to prescribe Zoloft or sertraline to a person that has bipolar?
I think it all depends on what you're seeing when you see the patient.
All right. So it's important, I would imagine then, to be fair in your evaluation of this young woman that came to your hospital for help on New Year's to find out what any evaluations were of her condition, her presentation, her symptomology when she saw that first psychiatrist, Dr. Tufts, right?
Lindsay was cooperative and she was forthcoming. I had no reason to think that she would not provide us with what other providers thought, just like she told us that Tufts said she was worried about bipolar disorder. And
I apologize.
Yeah.
Tufts advised her that she was worried about?
No, sorry, it was...
Gelada?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, thank you.
That's all right, no problem. And again, if you have records or you want to look at them, that's fine, because I know it's tough to have all this stuff in your head.
Yes. Thank you.
And so Dr. Tufts prescribed the Zoloft to her, and you knew that right after the initial prescription of Zoloft, do you know how many milligrams she was prescribed initially by Dr. Tufts?
Lindsay, I think, stated it was 25.
Okay. And then Dr. Tufts increased it to what, 100?
Lindsay said it was increased to 50.
50, all right. So, and again, you're in a, I don't know if it's appropriate to say, but you're in a mental institution, right? That's where you work at McLean Hospital. Okay, and it's a locked ward, right?
Yes.
And she's a patient that's coming to you for help, right?
Yes.
Is it appropriate for a doctor to take what that patient is telling you as a history? Or do you have to verify it or talk to other healthcare providers to make sure that they're not just running off and making something up?
I had no reason to believe that she was not a reliable reporter.
Because she seemed very forthright, right?
Yes.
She seemed very honest in her disclosure of her symptomology, right?
Yes.
One of the things, or one of the tools that you in the mental health field have access to is psychiatric testing, right?
Yes.
Okay. You have, for example, one tool, and I think psychologists, and there are psychologists that are on staff, I would imagine, at McLean as well.
No, not on that unit.
As a psychiatrist, you don't administer psychiatric or psychological testing, do you?
No.
All right. But for example, you've got the Beck inventory test, or what's called the MMPI test. You're familiar with those, right?
These are forms forms that the patient can fill out.
Right. And one of the tests is the MMPI, which is Minnesota Multiphasic Personality Inventory Test, right?
I have heard of that.
Okay. And you know that one of the things that it determines is, if they call it the K scale, whether or not somebody is lying or minimizing, or not minimizing, but lying about their symptomology, right?
I don't know much about the scale.
Well, that's a tool that can give someone information as to the person's presentation of their symptomology. That would be important as to their honesty of whether or not they're trying to minimize or whether or not they're trying to falsely project their symptomology, right?
I don't know what you're asking me.
Okay. Were you aware that there were ever any psychological testing administered to Lindsay? MMPI or Beck or anything?
No.
Okay. How many times did she call or reach out to help for a suicide hotline?
I don't know.
Wouldn't that be something important to find out, if the person who you're suggesting was denying suicidality or suicidal ideation upon your evaluation, that she called out to suicide hotlines?
She was telling, she She told us that she was having suicidal thoughts,
Right.
but had no intent or plan. So I do know that she was struggling with suicidal ideation.
Right. Anybody else that you talked to? Or did you
Patrick.
talk to anybody else?
I know the social worker talked to Patrick, and he did give the information he gave.
Okay. So what I'm asking is, as you're investigating the history of this patient, you're not aware, no idea that she had reached out on not one but two occasions to a suicide hotline. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. Did you know that when she was first prescribed the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts at 25 milligrams, then increased to 50 milligrams, that she then reported that she was unable to sleep?
She
For
shared
40
that with us. Yeah.
Was that?
Sorry, I'm sorry. I
Go
didn't.
right
let you-
ahead, no problem. What is it?
I'm going to let you finish the question.
Okay, thank you. No big deal. It's just that she reported that she went for 48 hours without sleep.
I don't remember that time quoted. I know she had difficulty sleeping.
You indicated in your testimony that, and I quote, "I would have preferred to have more information about her sleep patterns," right? Do you remember saying that?
Following the changes in the medications that we were making.
So sleep pattern would be just what it says, sleep pattern, like you sleep from 9 at night till 7 in the morning, or
Yes.
12 at night, whatever your pattern would be, right?
Yes.
And why is a sleep pattern important for you as a psychiatrist trying to evaluate your patient?
Because difficulty sleeping is a symptom of several different conditions, and it can worsen several different conditions.
And you know that she had reported severe anxiety, right?
She was struggling with anxiety, yes.
Struggling with anxiety, and she was having not just insomnia, but she had very, very severe insomnia, didn't she?
She wasn't able to sleep.
And you would prefer to have more information about sleep patterns, is what you said. I'm not putting words in your mouth. That's what you said.
I know that we were able to observe her sleep while she was on the unit. Once she left the unit, I would not know how she was sleeping, which is why we referred her to somebody else so that they could continue to monitor her symptoms.
Obviously. So let's put the time that you are observing her, or that your social workers are investigating to whatever extent they did, her background. What were her sleep patterns that were important to you prior to New Year's 2023?
The amount of sleep is important.
Yeah, and you said that. You already said, I would have preferred to have more information about her sleep patterns.
After she was in, if I was going to continue to evaluate her, I would want to observe her sleep is what I meant.
Oh, so you didn't mean that as an evaluator of her prior medical history, trying to get a history of your patient for purposes of diagnosis and treatment, that you wanted to know what her sleep patterns were. You didn't mean that you meant prior?
The history of whether somebody is struggling with insomnia is important, and the patient can relay that to me.
Okay. You ever heard of patients that minimize their symptoms and lie about their symptoms sometimes?
Yes.
Okay. So it's important to corroborate what the person is telling you, right? I mean, you want to talk to somebody else objective to find out what, if any, evidence there is of symptomology.
And we did that with Patrick.
I'm sorry?
So when a patient presents and they're talking to us, it is not just about what they are saying. It's about their body language, their eye contact. You can get a sense of whether a person is being honest or whether they're lying. And we are not, we're providers, the patient is there to get help. They're going to tell us what is bothering them and what they're concerned about. That's why they're in the hospital.
This woman was in a locked ward. She couldn't walk off your unit, could she?
That is what a psychiatric unit is.
Right. And she was very sick, wasn't she?
I don't know what you mean by very sick.
Really? You indicated that you would assume that she would take what I prescribed. Do you do that with all of your patients? Assume that when they have mental disease or a defect that they would do what they're told?
If they are cooperative, and they have been cooperative and reliable, yes.
One of the things that's referenced would be, she stated that she had intrusive thoughts. Remember that?
Yes.
What were the intrusive thoughts?
From what's stated in the medical record, thoughts of suicide.
Okay. And how often would she have the intrusive thoughts?
I don't recall if the frequency.
Would you agree with me that in addition to anxiety and in addition to inability to sleep, that she was in what was self-described as a brain fog, right?
She complained of feeling, you can complain of feeling foggy.
She also complained about that she felt as if she was a zombie, right?
She did not use those words.
Did anybody else use that word describing her in your investigation?
No.
Did Patrick tell you that he was concerned about the medications that she had been prescribed over the past 2 or 3 months?
Yes.
And you knew what the medications were that she was prescribed, correct?
She told us.
She told you, okay. And she told you that she was prescribed, in addition to the SSRI Zoloft that was increased from 25 to 100, that she was then told...
I was aware that...
I'm sorry, 50.
Correct.
She was then told to stop taking the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts, right?
She reported not being able to sleep, and they agreed that she would not take the Zoloft.
Okay, so the answer is yes. She was told to stop taking the Zoloft by Dr. Tufts, right?
I think you would have to ask Dr. Tufts that question.
I will. But I'm asking you, as investigating her...
I know that she stopped taking the Zoloft, and that she saw Dr. Tufts, so I assume that they would have come to that agreement.
All right, so as you're evaluating this patient, you're assuming that she voluntarily stopped taking the Zoloft?
Because she wasn't able to sleep, and she discussed it with Dr. Tufts.
She did. You knew that.
She told us she did.
Okay. How many patients have you treated, how many women have you treated that were suffering from postpartum psychosis?
I don't recall. I don't remember, but I think it would stick in my memory, so I don't think that I probably have.
You don't think you probably have?
I don't think I have. I haven't seen any.
How about postpartum depression?
Yes.
How many patients have you treated with postpartum depression?
Over the last 20 years, there are lots of patients I have seen. Okay. I don't keep a record of what diagnoses and what people I see.
Now, one of the things that you, when I say you collectively, I mean psychiatrists, psychologists, use in your evaluations and diagnoses of patients would be what's referred to as the DSM, correct?
Yes.
And that would be, DSM, it means Diagnostic Statistical Manual, right?
Yes.
And it started out with DSM-1, then it went to 2, then it went to 2R, meaning revised, and then there were a number of revisions, and now we're all the way up to DSM-5, correct?
Yes.
And DSM-5, also the most recent would be -TR. What does TR mean?
I don't actually know.
So the DSM, the Diagnostic Statistical Manual, is really, it's about this thick, right? If you have a regular sized book. I just have a little one, but.
I think so.
Okay. Do you rely on or do you use in your evaluation of patients the Diagnostic Statistical Manual?
The diagnoses are based on the criteria that are stated in there.
Okay, so you do use, for diagnosis purposes, what is stated in the DSM, correct?
Yes.
And it's kind of like a cookbook. I mean, it basically tells you what the ingredients of a particular mental disease or defect would be, right?
Yes.
And you know that it's basically a group of people that get together and they discuss what should or should not be included in the manual that psychiatrists and psychologists use to diagnose patients, right?
Yes.
And they try to keep up to date and stay on top of any recent developments, right?
I would assume, I don't know.
Okay.
I can't speak to it.
That's all right. So here we are in 2026, not 1928. Is postpartum depression in the DSM?
I think it's a subcategory.
You think it's a subcategory of what?
Depression.
Depression. How about psychosis? Postpartum psychosis in 2026. Is that in this manual?
I don't exactly know where it is.
Have you ever seen it in this manual?
I don't recall paying attention to where it's categorized.
So if you're treating a woman who is, as you put it, postpartum because she had the child, and then you told the jury, well, there's a time frame, a cutoff as to whether or not a person is still postpartum, still subject to mood swings, and still subject to hormone imbalance, and there's a cutoff, is what you said, right?
Different organizations use different definitions.
How about you? You're here for the government testifying in this case. What's your understanding of a cutoff of postpartum, if there is one?
For the DSM-5, it is 4 weeks. For ACOG, which is the American Academy of Obstetrics or something, I don't remember what that stands for. It's 12 weeks for the CDC. It's 12 months for the CDC. It's 12 months.
Okay. So CDC would be Center for Disease Control, right?
Yes.
So they're pretty much all over the place as far as the time frame that a woman can still be involved with postpartum symptomology, right?
Yes.
Have you ever heard of a doctor by the name of Meg Spinelli?
No.
Have you read anything about the efforts being made to have the DSM-6 coming out include
Objection.
No, overruled.
postpartum psychosis?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Have you read or are you aware of efforts being made to include postpartum psychosis in the DSM-6 that will be coming out within a couple of months?
I think it's clear that there is question about where it should be placed or categorized.
Okay, so are you aware of any efforts being made to include postpartum psychosis in the DSM-6 when it comes out?
Vaguely.
Vaguely. How vague?
I don't know.
You don't know.
I know that there's question about where it should be categorized and that the DSM is reviewed every time and they try to move things around based on what clinicians and researchers think.
What, if any, impact does the thyroid have on a woman who has just had a baby and is in the postpartum period, whatever they decided it is, 6 months, 4 months, a year? What impact does the thyroid have?
I am not an internal medicine physician. I am a doctor. What I do know about the thyroid is that the thyroid can affect one's mood and anxiety, whether one is pregnant or not.
So is it fair to say that thyroid levels are important in evaluating a woman who is in postpartum?
It's one tiny component of the entire.
Component.
It is one component.
Okay.
Okay.
So what does that mean?
It's one of the.
It's a tiny component. What does that mean?
Okay,
Can you let her finish?
sure, you'll let her finish. Go ahead.
It's one of the tests that can be done when a patient is admitted.
Okay, was it done by McLean Hospital?
No.
What?
No.
Are you aware that your records indicate that she had a thyroid read that are part of the records?
My recall is that the TSH was not from 2022 or 2023.
Right. It was from 2000 and what? From
I wouldn't know. You'd have to refer to the record.
So in other words, it was imported into McLean records by, I guess, computer access or something from MGH years before, right?
Things move forward, yes.
I'm sorry?
Labs do populate from the past.
Okay, so in the past, as a psychiatrist, as her treating psychiatrist at McLean Hospital, trying to do an investigation, evaluate this woman to tell her what your diagnosis was and what you guys can do to help her out, did you look at the thyroid reads?
It was one of the labs that I would have reviewed.
You would have reviewed. Okay, as you're sitting here today, do you have any memory about what the thyroid reads were?
It was within normal limits.
And that would be coming from how long before? A year, 2, 3?
I don't remember.
So there were no actual thyroid tests done while she was at the hospital at McLean, right?
No.
What is the Edinburgh, the EPDS or something like that? What is that?
It's a scale.
A scale. What kind of a scale?
It's a postpartum scale for depression.
And it's used by psychiatrists and psychologists to evaluate the risk factor of a woman who is involved with postpartum, right?
I think it's to assess the level of depression.
In a woman who's involved with postpartum, not some guy that got injured on a soccer field, right?
Yes.
So what does the EPDS mean? I'm probably butchering that. What is that an acronym for?
Edinburgh's postpartum depression scale or something.
Okay. The Edinburgh postpartum depression scale. Was that administered to Lindsay when she was in for the 4 days and a half that she was in your hospital?
No,
Why not?
because we don't necessarily administer scales.
You don't necessarily what?
We don't administer scales.
Why? That's an accepted tool to evaluate a patient as a psychiatrist or a psychologist, isn't it?
It is a tool, but it doesn't in the end determine the diagnosis.
Oh, no, of course not, because the doctor who supposedly has access to the person's medical history and all of the other aspects of your evaluation is the one that gives the diagnosis, right?
The psychiatrist makes the diagnosis based on the presentation, the history of the patient.
Right. So far, what we've got is a presentation of the patient who was in the locked wards at McLean Hospital, and the presentation was from her, right?
Her presentation is how she presents, how she is observed. It's not what she's telling us.
Well, isn't what she's telling you part of what you consider?
Yes,
Okay. And what Patrick's telling you is part of what you consider?
yes.
So other than what Lindsay, who was in the locked ward, tells you, and her husband who tells you, what, if any, investigation did you do?
We did not do any additional collateral contact.
And you didn't do any tests either, right? You didn't do it. Did you do a blood test?
Psychiatry as a field is not dependent on blood tests. If it was that simple, it would be much better for everybody. It's based on the evaluation of the patient who's sitting in front of you.
So you're suggesting to this jury that it's not a valid medical step for one to take blood from a person who is on a cocktail of drug medications to find out what their levels are?
No, not a regular procedure at all.
Okay. Now, McLean did not take any blood. McLean did not do the Edinburgh scale, but that would be something that you would be interested in, right, as to whether or not anyone else gave her the Edinburgh Depression Scale.
Let me clarify one thing. McLean did draw blood. They did do testing. There was no testing for levels of drugs. Just
okay.
let me clarify that. That's
fine.
Okay.
So they took a CBC or maybe a blood count evaluation, but it had nothing to do with what was on board, as they say, as far as tricyclics, antipsychotics, SSRIs, anything, right?
They check for substances of abuse, but nothing else.
Well, there were no substances of abuse in her blood, were there?
No.
How about the tricyclics, the antipsychotics, the SSRIs, the benzodiazepines, the Z drugs that they call some of their categories? They didn't test for that, did they?
Those are not tested on a regular basis.
How about on her basis?
I don't know why I would have tested for those.
Well,
what would have been the indication?
How about if she presents, and the history that she's giving you is that she was on a number of drugs for that 3-month period or 3.5-month period? Would it be of interest to you as to what was on board in her blood?
Medications have different half-lives. So if she had taken something, it would depend on what the half-life was. If it was a day, it would be out of her system. We would not be able to catch it at that time. It would depend on what she'd been taking and, what was in her bloodstream at that point.
So the admission note that was noted in the medical records would be on page 64 of the medical records that you were presented by the district attorney. Do you
I don't remember what page it's on, but
that's understandable. Okay.
thank you.
Sure, no problem. Can you tell me what I'm looking at? Exhibit 79, page 63. And that would be the record from McLean Hospital, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Can you tell me what this means when it says clinical summary?
That's the social workers note.
Okay. And
Can you, Doctor, can you maybe move that microphone just so that
Sorry about that. That's the social worker's note?
Correct.
And that's what the district attorney was questioning you on when she referred you to symptomology?
Was this a conversation with Patrick? I'm not sure I don't recall what you're talking about.
All right. You can read along with me, all right?
Okay.
Clinical summary says the case was discussed in rounds, and would that be like on Grey's Anatomy? You have rounds, and they see patients in the rooms and that type of
No.
thing. No. What does it mean when it says in rounds?
It's when we meet in the morning, the social worker, the psychiatrist, the nurse, and the charge nurse, the utilization reviewer.
Okay. So that's why it says on page 63, discussed in rounds, SW and PIC met with Lindsay as part of the intake interview, right?
Yes.
Okay. Presenting problem, then it says HX, that's history, right? Mm-hmm. And psychosocial HX history was discussed, correct?
Yes.
At that point, she stated that she was hoping to be home by next weekend for her daughter's birthday, right? Mm-hmm. And that then she relates her history as far as having a third baby on May 26th. That would be Callan, right?
Yes.
The youngest baby. And she then told you all that 12 weeks after she delivered, the baby wasn't taking the bottle. It was around the time that she was supposed to go back to work. Husband also went back to work, and she was experiencing a lot of, and then someone puts in quotes, situational anxiety. Is that correct?
That's what it states.
All right. So as a result, is that coming from her, or that word situational anxiety, was that her words because it's in quotes, or was that you guys put that in there?
I didn't write that note.
Okay. But you factored that in your investigation, right?
I read it.
Okay. And as a result of this, she subsequently saw a psychiatrist that prescribed her Zoloft, right?
Yes.
And that would be Dr. Tufts, right?
Yes.
And 1 week after prescribing that, it says, after 1 week of taking it, that she developed insomnia, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So that's an indication of a reaction that the patient had to the medication that was prescribed to her, being the SSRIs, Zoloft, right?
It could be a side effect, yes.
Could be, okay. And the psychiatrist told her to stop taking Zoloft, right?
That's what it states.
And do you know from your investigation and your evaluation of Lindsay Clancy, when the doctor told her to stop taking Zoloft? It was like, I mean, you can guess, it was like a week later, a couple of days later?
It would be, if I don't recall off the top of my head, but if that information was available, it would be in my note.
Do you know, can you find your note in here? I just don't know how to navigate that. Would it help you if you had a break or a little recess just to look at this?
No.
No?
I can find it right now.
Okay.
You know, Mr. Rennie, that's probably not a bad idea. We've been sitting here, kind of missed that morning recess. So we're going to take that at this point, just a short morning recess. I'll let all of you kind of stretch your legs a little bit, and then we'll come right back. Okay?
Court, all rise. Jurors, close your notebooks. Place them on your chairs, please. This way, please.
Said I should.
Your Honor, can she have permission to take that and look at it, the exhibit, out of the courtroom?
I think it's probably best if you want to look at it, keep that in the courtroom.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you can look at it, but just you'd have to stay in the courtroom.
Okay? All right.
She wants to take a break, as we all do.